Tell everybody where you grew up.
I grew up in a small country town, Bryan, Texas. It's 100 miles north of Houston. Oh, in the '80s, man, we loved it. It was one of them type of areas to where you can leave your door unlocked, the front porch open. You know what I'm saying? Leave your porch open, screen door open and things like that. But by the time the '90s hit, it's the gang culture kind of hit, man, and just drugs kicked in and all that stuff, and they took things by storm, and things took a turn for the worse. And poverty struck in, and life began to happen all across the country.
What do you remember about that time, from it going from a small town where you can leave your windows unlocked, screen doors unlocked, to becoming this gang-infested city?
Me personally, man, it's just, I remember somewhere around, the sixth grade, things being a little bit different. I want to say somewhere around 90, 91, things being a little bit different. I guess you could say it was, around that crack era type thing. People went from, you can leave your bike outside to your bike becoming stolen to, dope fiends stealing your screen, stealing your screens off your screen doors, taking your antennas and things like that. So, I definitely say drugs played a factor. And then when people started twisting up their fingers, picking up bandanas, man, that really caused a division in the community. I got friends myself that, I've been knowing since 85, 86. And, it was like when the gang culture kind of hit, it separated us, man. We were no longer friends. We couldn't tell each other why, but, the color kind of separated us.
Mm. Were these homegrown gangs, for lack of better words, or were they imports from LA? Who were some of the first gangs that you remember hearing about?
Back around my time, man, of course, you got your typical Bloods and Crips, mostly like neighborhood type things, like from our city, streets or neighborhoods, from where I'm from, things like that, not really, we kind of hear things, see things in movies. So you kind of at a young teenage age, you kind of mimic things. You kind of want to be like those people that you see in those movies. So you kind of pick up things here and there. And then, a lot of people from the South kind of migrated to the Midwest or to the West Coast. So, a lot of people came back, and they came back with a lot of those gangs or organizations or influences. So, of course, they brought back, Bloods or Crips or, Kings for that nature. So, I guess in a way we kind of, had some influences just like everybody else.
Did colors or gangster rap have a big impact on your city in hindsight, looking back?
Yeah, man. It was definitely, man, a lot of, it had an impact on it. I definitely did. I mean, I kind of think that was the narrative that, a lot of the big record companies and movie companies, man, I think that was the narrative that they wanted to push. To be honest with you, just looking back at it, I mean, I ain't trying to shoot no shots at nobody or anything like that, but, it definitely, I remember a time to when we was listening to different types of music to where it taught us about unity.
Right.
It taught us about the culture being together, strengthening each other, things of that nature. We had I don't want to name any groups or anything like that, but, it's just, we had a lot of shows that, depict us in a different way, family life, we had good career jobs and things like that. But somewhere around 90, 91, all of a sudden, man, you just saw people with bandanas and stuff like that walking around. And, the music that we listened to, man, I definitely say it heavily influenced us.
Yeah, that's facts. What about movies like Colors and Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society? Do you remember, watching those movies or hearing about those movies being any influence to people?
Yeah. I mean, those were some of the top movies, back then. I mean, those are classics. And, if anybody that grew up in the 90s that say that they didn't have an influence by those movies, man, they lying to you or they was put up in the house. I mean, because if you was outside with it, you definitely thought that you was one of those characters in those movies. Like, just being for real.
Yeah. Now let's talk about your life. When did you first, you know, for lack of better words, when did you first jump off the porch and join the street life?
Oh man, shoot, like 91, 92. Yeah, somewhere around there. I was really young though.
Okay. Did you end up joining a gang?
Oh yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, I did. I got down for a little while. You know.
Take us back to that time. What was going on, you know, in your, like, what was going on in your life to where you're like, all right, I'm gonna make this jump. I'm doing this. I'm making this happen. I'm gonna join this gang.
Well, see, being honest with you, a lot of people, man, they have a misconception of, what they call gangs or whatever, or organizations, man. Back in the early 90s, things was more organized, man. You had like real OGs that, it wasn't like you was joining a gang, man. You was a part of a family, man. Like it wasn't none of that. It was like the big homies, man. If you was a little homie that was supposed to be in school or something like that, they're gonna make sure you go to school. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't had nothing to eat, your mom, she might have had to work late or something like that. Man, we gonna make sure you eat. We gonna make sure you sleep on the couch and all that. It wasn't nothing like that. So, it was just like for me, I'm my mama's only son. So, it was like I had a lot of older relatives that I looked up to. And, it was just being around in their neighborhood, where they at, it was kind of like, it was very unified. And, there was a lot of good brothers. They played football, played basketball, baseball. It was things of that nature. It wasn't like what people thinking, like hanging out on the corner and all that. No, it wasn't like that. No, it wasn't like that at all. Not in the beginning.
When did incarceration start entering your life?
About 94. 90, okay. Yeah, definitely 94.
Yeah. Tell us about your introduction into, your first time going to jail or juvie hall or whatever the case was.
Oh man, that was crazy. I mean, that was something different. Being away from home, being away from, my sisters and things like that, that was a totally different thing for me. It was definitely something I wasn't used to. But, being a part of, that culture, I want to say, back around that time, man, just being honest with you, you got this image that you want to portray. And, being honest with you, man, I didn't come from that type of lifestyle. A lot of us, we ain't come from that lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's like seeing things in movies, hearing things, in these on these radios and stuff like that. It's like a lot of us, we come from 2-parent homes. We in the country. We really didn't have to live that type of lifestyle. But, it's like we got this image. We want to be tough. We want to be cool. We want to hang out with the cool kids. So you can't really express outwardly how it really affects you. So therefore, you get into fights. You act like you're tough, but really you're hurting though. So it really didn't. It affected me inwardly, but outwardly, man, I couldn't let nobody know that. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't let nobody know it affected me.
Yep. Now talk about some of the things that you were doing. And once again, to remind you and everybody out there, this isn't to glorify this life. This is just a person telling their story. And if this is a life you choose to lead, after hearing, but having people on my show, it's really to tell their story in hopes that you don't go down this same route. You know what I mean? And end up doing a lot of time behind bars, which is what we're going to get to later on as well. But what were some of the things that you were doing, Anthony, around this time that landed you behind bars?
Oh man, I had caught a gun charge. Yeah, I caught a gun charge. Yeah, I caught a gun charge. That was my first case that I had.
And how much time did you do?
Let me see. I stayed in juvie around that time. Probably like 5-6 weeks. And then I had got out, but I went right back.
If you could put a number on it, how many years would you say that you've given to the system?
Oh man, altogether from juvenile to adult, man, I've definitely given over 15 years of my life to the system.
Mm.
Yeah. And you know, it's just, I mean, and I love the way, that you gave that spiel a few minutes ago, man. You know, for anybody that's out there listening and whatnot, man, and you think that life is cool? Nah, it's not, man. And you know, that's why I made that statement I made earlier, man. Like, man, for those that, you know, that don't come from that struggle or don't come from that culture, that lifestyle, man, if you don't have to pick it up, please don't pick it up, man, because it's a real system, man. It's a real system. And, you know, it's just looking back at it, man, you know, I really wish that, you know, I wouldn't have went that route and had to learn the hard way. You know, I really wish I wouldn't have. So I wish somebody is able to listen to this interview and take something from it.
What are some of the worst things about being locked up, man? You know, what are some of the things that you're like, man, this is for the birds. I need to get out of here. Talk to us about the horrors of jail and prison life.
Man, you know, one of the worst things I believe being behind bars that a lot of people don't think about, man, is, you know, your family passing away, not being you know, that's one of the things that I believe that's more detrimental. A lot of people don't think about that. You know, you're more selfish when you go in, but then when you get a letter and you say, hey, man, your grandmama passed away, or your auntie or something like that, man, the reality gonna hit you when you walk about them gates, man, and they're no longer there no more.
Yeah, that's the one. My friend Perry, who is doing life right now, he's 17 years in on a life sentence. His mother just passed away from cancer, and it's just eating him alive, man. Just being inside, not able to do anything, and his mother just withered away on the outside. So think about that, kids, while you're out there living this life, while you're out there selling dope, while you're out there doing smash and grabs, while you're out there pimping, while you're out there hoeing, while you're out there banging. This is the reality for a lot of people in life. And unfortunately, my man Anthony had to do at least 15 years of his life he had to spend behind bars. That's crazy, man. That's a great example. Thank you for sharing that. Talk to us about when you first met Ali.
Oh, man. When I first met Ali, I knew that the gang culture was real. I'm gonna say it like that. He didn't do anything in particular. He wasn't flashy or nothing like that. Everything about his demeanor, it said LA. It wasn't no act. Like us in the country, we didn't have to move the way that we did. We didn't know at that time, or at least I didn't know at that time, that it was a real culture. When I met him,
and this the early 90s we're talking, right?
Yeah, this is like 97.
Okay.
I met Ali in 1997. And, you know, it was some similarities between the two of us. And we immediately began to click with each other. And, you know, it's just, strangely as it may sound, you know, Ali was a real quiet dude, real articulate brother, sharp dressing. And, you know, we were kind of rowdy because we were trying to mimic a lot of these characters that we saw on TV. And Ali was like, whoa, bro, nah, homie. Like, no, we don't do it like that, man. Like, chill out, bro. Like, like, man, like, it ain't no need for that, bro. Like, because he immediately saw that there was no need for us to portray a certain image or to act out in a certain way, because, you know, where we're from, it wasn't moving like that. You know, it really wasn't. It was really different. So, you know, it was like meeting him. It was an eye opener. You know, I'm gonna say that meeting him, it was definitely an eye opener.
Okay. So you said he just looked authentic, like he was from the land. What were some of the things that Ali maybe have told you guys you were doing not necessarily wrong, but different, you know, than LA? Was he dropping gems on you about the motherland and all that? And by the motherland, I obviously mean Los Angeles.
Yes, yes. Yeah, Ali was the first guy that I met from Los Angeles, and he definitely dropped some gems, man, to me, and explained to me, explained to me the culture, because you know I was one of the guys back out there in Bryan, where I'm from, that was, you know, moving a little bit rowdy at that time, and to be honest with you, I was moving that way for no reason. I didn't have to. And so when I met Ali, Ali was one of those brothers that, you know, sat me down, talked to me, educated me about how things really go, and you know how it does go. And you know, it's like it's principles behind this here. It's rules and regulations. So it's a certain way that you move. You know what I mean? So you know, it's just having that understanding. You know, as a man, you know, as a man, 1-on-1, just hey, bro. You know, it's just, he was one of those ones calming it, you know, like keeping us calm, letting us know, hey, bro, you know, it's, how should I put it? He brought the unity. He brought the unity to my little crew. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I see him as being someone, you know, even back then who would, you know, do something like that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because, you know, like, in school, he was very educated, very smart, because a lot of the things that we was learning back in our high school, he had already learned like 3 years ago back in Los Angeles, because they're very fast paced. So, you know, it was like he kind of educated us, tutored us a little bit, showed us a little something, and then it was like whenever we moved a certain type of way, kind of like, hey, look, bro, check this out, man. You know, this how it go, this how it is, blah, 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 whatever. Because being from Texas, you know, we do things a little bit different. And, you know, like I said, meeting in LA, you know, me and him, we paired up, and, you know, it was very interesting. He left a great impression on me and my people, man. And, you know, I love the brother, man. I love the knowledge that he has given us over the years, and given me over the years, man. I mean, you know, because being honest with you, Ali is a great reason why I've actually been able to stay out of prison. You know, to be honest with you. Yeah, just to be honest with you, man, you know, I really appreciate that brother. You know, he has a lot of knowledge over his head, man, and he's always been that way. And to be honest with you, when I first found out that he was in prison, I couldn't believe it. Wow. I couldn't believe it, because what you don't know is it's like that was not the guy in school. Like, that wasn't him. We were trying to be like those guys in LA, and when he came to Bryan, man, he was so chill. Like, he was really chill. He was cool. He was enjoying the scenery. I mean, because, you know, out there we got like horses, cows, and, you know, we have trail rides. You know, we have different types of things, and he was just loving it. And, you know, us, we were more kind of looking for it, you know, and he was like, oh, nah, bro, like, nah, man, out here, like, nah, bro, I'm loving it, man. Like, it was real cool, man. And I think he had fun, and I really hate that, you know, I really hate that sometimes we become a product of our environment, and a lot of people really don't get a chance to see who we really are, because we've never been given the opportunity outside of our environment, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does, dog. And if you know anything about LA, we don't see cows and horses just on an open range. I mean, we get excited if we see a damn grasshopper. You know what I mean?
For real?
You know, I'm not even joking, man. It's unfortunately, it's like, and a lot of people, it's like that. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people who live in Los Angeles, man, and they live, you know, we live 15 miles from a beach, and a lot of kids in the inner city and the hood have never set foot in sand. Like, it's just, it's different. So I say that because I can understand that Ali would love it out there. You know what I'm saying? Just coming from an environment where, you know, for the most part, all you see are either four walls in your room, and then, you know, whatever you see outside in the projects. And that's this crazy situation.
Yeah, it is, man. Like, I mean, because like I I've been in Texas, my whole life. And, so like me, I never really knew and understood like where he was coming from. Because like I said, I've been here. It's to me, like my father is from a little small country town. The population is a little over 500, like right now in 2023. It's a little over 500. So on the way to my grandma and grandpa's house, you see like cotton fields, corn fields, wheat fields, things of that nature.
Yeah, we
don't see that.
We see liquor store, gun store. We see a pigeon. We see a palm tree. We do have nice palm trees out here. But other than that, yeah, not too much nature, unfortunately, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we see a lot of livestock and vegetation. I mean, so it's just, it was crazy. But don't get me wrong now, in the inner city, it's still country-like, but it's nothing like LA.
Yeah. And I say that to say, people out there in the inner city, take chances, go places, man. Visit different towns, visit different states, visit different countries. The world is so big, man. Do not confine yourself to, a 2-block radius. Go out and venture out, because it could change your life. You could fall in love with somebody. You could learn a language. You can learn about food. I mean, just go venture out, man. There is a positivity to traveling outside of the hood.
Yeah, it is, man. Like, we have all kinds of stuff, like in the country, man. Like, we have Chili Fest, out there. Like I said, the big thing is the trail rides. That's a huge thing, though, the trail rides. The Chili Fest is more for, it's for everybody, but, it's more for, like, the Caucasian people. But, like, us, we do like the trail rides and things of that nature.
What's the trail rides? Tell us about what happens on the trail. I need to know.
Oh man, trail rides is like it's just it's like we're like the black cowboys. You know what I'm saying? They go out there with the hats and the belt buckles, the boots. They do the line dances. Have horses and things. Oh man, say it's the trail rides. If you ain't never been to a trail ride in Texas, man, hey, man, you're missing out. That's what it is. I don't necessarily do the trail riding thing, but a lot of my family do the trail riding, and it's fun. A lot of beautiful ladies out there, man. They Texas thick. You know what it is. So they do the line dances and things like that. A lot of great food. Texas got a lot of great barbecue. So it's a lot of barbecuing out there. Man, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun out there, man. They have horses and stuff too. They have some of them. They have like livestock rodeos before the trail riding, and what that is you can go there and you can actually purchase some of the livestock.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's a pretty cool little gig.
Yeah, man, I love that small country town living, dude. Especially being from LA, it's nice to slow down a little bit. Are you involved with an organization that helps keep kids off the street or something like that?
Yes, okay. I am a part. Yes, I am a part of a mentoring organization.
Oh yeah, talk to us about that. Give that some props. Give that some shout outs.
Yes. Yeah, me and my spouse, we're part of the Stronger, Wiser, Better organization. We took a couple of years off because we recently had some kids, but it's more kids, mind you. I am a father of 5. I got 5 daughters, and I have a granddaughter.
Nice.
But we do mentor young men and troubled teenagers. Me myself, I counsel men and women outside of that. Just on a personal note, because I'm really passionate about breaking the system, breaking the cycle, because I don't want anybody else, man, to suffer the same fate that I had. I don't want nobody else to put my children through what I put my children through, or what I put my moms and pops through, man. We have got to break this cycle. I mean, just being all the way honest with you, man, taking it back to the beginning of the interview, man, we got to sit up there and recognize for the older ones, we OGs now. So we got to be able to recognize when the shift had changed from the 80s to the 90s. You know, it was a lot of positive energy that was put out there on television and out there in the
Yeah.
newspaper and these outlets and things like that. You know, I remember, you know, clearly in the 90s, like right at 1990, to where we had that positive music on the radios, to where they gave us aspirations.
Remember that we went from we had the
you know?
African medallions, the green, red, and black.
Yeah.
We had the
You
kid and
remember
play.
that?
We were dancing. We were having fun at parties. Then overnight, it was
Yeah.
gangster rap and chronic and
Overnight.
baggy jeans.
Yeah. Overnight, you know, and it's just, and like I say, whenever I'm counseling with my brothers and my sisters, I feel guilty. You know, I do. I feel real guilty because I was a product of that environment. I was a part of that generation. And, you know, I was young back then. I was in my adolescent years, and I really didn't realize it. But looking back at it, man, I can clearly see when it changed. You know, because we used to see, we used to see on television, man, you know, we used to see, you know, the parents represented in a great way. You
Cosby
know, back
Show.
when mothers was
We
mothers
had
taking care
the
of the
Different
kids.
World,
Yeah,
the TV show.
Yeah,
was-
you know, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
That was dope.
Yeah, man. Yeah, then some happen, and there are theories out there that was all by design. That was all by design.
It was.
to keep the prison, you know, industrial complex going, and keep people in and out of prison, and that there's this whole theory that, you know, that the music industry in the early 90s got together with the prison systems to basically make this happen. I'm not saying it's true or not, but it makes a lot of sense when you look at it in hindsight.
It does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
and I definitely can believe it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Well, Anthony, if I can ask you just to, you know, say any last words for Ali. You know, he'll probably eventually hear this. Hopefully, he will hear this one day, I should say. So, you know, are there any words you want to say to Ali about the impression he left on your life?
Man, I believe that he may know the impression that he left on my life. It was definitely a good one. I have nothing but good things to say. I mean, I'm always praying for my brother. I'm always here by his side. You know, ever since I met him, man, you know, I've always held him dear to my heart. You know, just it's another thing I gotta add. You know, I didn't know when I met him that, you know, I actually had been knowing his uncle ever since 1986. You know, I met his uncle, and I've been running with his uncle, still running with him today. And, you know, it's just, you know, having to have a brotherhood with him, you know, way before I met Ali, and then to have another brotherhood with Ali before I even found out that they were related, man. That's amazing to have two brothers that's, you know, uncle and nephew, man, you know?
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story about your life, and also sharing your interactions with Ali in his life as well. I want to wish you the best in this upcoming year, and I want to thank you so much, man. And are there any last words, any shout outs, anything you want to promote? You know, the floor is yours.
I mean, you know, there is nothing necessarily that I want to promote, man. Not right now. I mean, you know, I come from a really, like I said, a really great small town of Bryan, Texas, man. You know, I love my hometown, love my moms and pops. You know, all my daughters and everything, you know, my lady, you know, but I love what you do, man. I got to give you the credit, man, that you deserve, man, for tapping in with brothers, man, and allowing people to share their story on your platform, man. That means a lot to me. And, you know, for any brothers, any sisters out there, man, incarcerated or free, you know, man, if you got a story to tell, man, that can be an influence, man, to this younger generation, man, help us break this cycle, man. And, you know, I do kind of want to add one thing to it, man. Please. Because as I told you, Ali has been a huge inspiration and a reason why I have been free. I've been free from prison, man, for over 11 years. And I wouldn't have been able to do it and stay focused if it wouldn't have been for the words of wisdom of Ali. Just to be honest with you, that man right there, he keeps me grounded, man. And you know, it's another man that I met on my way coming out of prison. I call him Uncle Ray. That man changed my life. And you know, I want to give this story to the world, and I want to tell you what changed it. You know, to be honest with you, a lot of people are comfortable, man, with going in and out of prison. They're not thinking about the losses of their parents. They're not thinking about the loss of time with their kids. They ain't thinking about none of that. But this is what did it for me. You don't think about your cellmate, your cellie, or the man next door. They're going to die. And this is what happened to me and what changed it. You know, I'm up there shooting the breeze with a man named Uncle Ray. I've been by the cell by him for a couple of years now. And out of nowhere, he tell me, he say, nephew, hey, man, I want you to do something for me when you get out. I say, man, what you want me to do, man? You want me to hook you over the pen pal, you know, this, that, and the third? He said, no, nephew, I want you to live for me. Ooh. I say, live for you? He said, yeah, man. He said, I want you to live for me. I say, live for you? He said, yeah, nephew. He said, what you don't understand is I'm going to die right here in this cell.
Jesus.
And you don't even realize that. He say, look, nephew. He say, man, I'm going to die right here in this cell. He say, man, when you get out this penitentiary, man, I want you to go out there and live for me. He said, I've never been out of the state of Texas, man. And I'm going to die right here in this cell. And he said, you don't even realize that. He said, is that what you want for your life? He said, is that what you want? You want to be sitting around here waiting to die? He said, look around this room. I looked around the pod, man. He said, look around all these look at all these motherfuckers waiting to die. I looked over there. I seen one guy. He had 3 life sentences, man. I looked at a young man my age. He had a life sentence and a 30 egg stack. Another young man, younger than me, had a life sentence and a 75 egg stack. I think about my brother Ali, man. That's got 4 life sentences, man. You know, I think about, you know, some of my cousins that's got life sentences, man. You know, I done been to prison. My father been to prison. My grandfather been to prison. Man, when this gonna stop, man? The man sit up there and opened my eyes. He asked me, man, to live for him. And reality hit me, man. Reality hit me, man. Say, man, for the youngsters out there, man, twisting up their fingers, man, gang banging, man, selling that dope, robbing people. Man, come on, dog. Do not be another inmate sitting around in that cell waiting to die. Like, come on, man. Man, like that. I'm gonna leave it at that, man. Yeah. I love my brother. I love my brother Ali. I'm here for him forever. You know, he was one of the ones that helped change my life, as well as the woman that I'm with now. All 5 of my daughters, you know what I mean? My grandbaby, you know, the knowledge and wisdom that my mother and father, who has been married for 50 years, you know what I mean? That's that right there.
You have a lot of blessings, homie.
That helped mold and shape my life and who I am today. If you ever need me, Dusty, man, you know my number.